to what is happening up there in the San Bernardino County region. The only difference was there were a little more houses in proximity to the sand fire that had the fire jump the fire lines of the freeway here in the Southern California area. Thousands and thousands and thousands of houses have gone up. Excuse me. But in San Bernardino County, a lot of wild brush, and up there in the areas where there are not a lot of houses is burning uncontrollable, but they have evacuated 82,000 people because the wind is so shifty up in that area of the Los Angeles National Forest that you never know which way it is going to go. And in that respect, so they are very cautious up there. Some 82,000 people have been told to evacuate. And that means when the fire department comes through and says that, you better evacuate, because they're not messing around when it comes to that. You're talking about your life. These fires, they move so fast and just so out of control. They can go one way in one direction for a few minutes and then all of a sudden trail back over burned and charred ground, find something to burn, and come back at you the other direction with full force. So one of the things that the fire department is, of course, most concerned with is human life. And, of course, equine life, and a lot of animals, too, up there are being evacuated at this point. So we need to wish and pray that this fire gets under control, but it's so dry and it is so hot here in Southern California right now. More importantly, it's really dry. And where that fire is located in the desert areas, because San Bernardino is basically high desert. It's the start of the ascent to Palm Springs, and it's high desert. It goes up to 3, 4, 5,000 feet above sea level. In Palm Springs is about 4,000 feet above sea level. San Bernardino County is about 1,800 to 2,000 feet above sea level. So it's really dry heat in that respect. So be very cautious if you are going home that way. You may want to not go home up the 10 freeway or the 210 freeway. You may want to take the 60 freeway out of Southern California, downtown Los Angeles, east. The 60 will bring you in more towards the Riverside part of the San Bernardino County, where Riverside County and San Bernardino County meet. But anyhow, I wanted to give you a quick update because it's all over the news, and I'm sure where you're at, somewhere in the United States of America, watching and listening to our program today, I'm sure you're getting blasted with a lot of news updates about what's happening here in San Bernardino. So we'll keep you up to date on that here on thepowerofvoices.com. You can download our app. It's free for Apple and Androids. You can go ahead and download that app and load it up, and that way a one-button push to our audio and our global distribution format, and also a one-button push to our digital TV broadcasting network. Of course, we are on YouTube Live, Facebook.com, and we have 2 channels going on Facebook.com. I am having a little bit of difficulty technical-wise with ABTV Live and the entertainment channel, Facebook.com. So we're glad you're here with us on the Power of Voices Facebook Live platform. We are also on an outfit called UPeak and StreamUp, and then we'd bounce it out to Instagram, Snapchat, and Periscope and live streams, though I'm most likely eliminating Periscope out of my network. They just seem to be being more and more difficult as time goes on. But we do get out there to dozens of social network services, and we thank you very much for watching and for listening. If all you can do is listen on www.thepowerofvoices.com. This is Jesse T. We are live at 5, and you're straight on the point as you move into the world, according to Torero. Good to have you along. Just trying to get my, I'm showing this off, just trying to get my Facebook site going here, and I seem to be having a little bit of a problem with my phone, my Note 4, my Galaxy Note 4, and so I'm just going to uninstall Facebook altogether, and I'm even having a problem with that. I've got this thing called screen overlay detected, and I have no idea what screen overlay means. And I've been fighting this for about 3 days now, and I have no idea how to get it out of my phone, and I have no idea how it got in. It just won't allow me to do anything. I keep having to hit these settings over and over and over, and I don't know how to clear it out. So I'm probably going to have to go to the T-Mobile store. That's who I'm hooked up with, and get this thing taken care of, because it's driving me crazy. Doesn't it just drive you crazy when your phone doesn't work the way you want it to work, when your smartphone? This is how linked we have gotten to these things. It is it's unbelievable how connected these are. These are like parts of our body now. It blows my mind how we can't do anything without having our smartphones by us. And I repelled this for a long time. I didn't want to be somebody that was always having to deal with their smartphone going off, and the frustrations of it all. Because this thing is getting me really aggravated right now and really frustrated. And I just don't know what to do about it, other than to throw it against the wall and smash it, and then also take a sledgehammer to it and break it up, and then take a torch and melt it, and then say dirty words to it while I'm doing it all, as if it was somebody who did something really bad to me. I mean, that's how this phone makes you feel when it doesn't work. Am I right? Yeah, I know I'm right. This thing is driving me insane. All I'm trying to do right now as I talk to you folks, and as we get the show started, all I'm trying to do is download a new version of Facebook. And in doing that, I'm just trying to get by this thing that comes on board, that's overlay. So if anybody knows what an overlay is and how to get rid of it, I need your help. I'm dying here. And it's always a wonderful trip to go to your provider's office, AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, or T-Mobile. That's always an exciting trip.
Well,
always ends
I
up
have the
costing
solution
you money.
for you.
You have, well, that's Lee Michaels on the phone with me. Hey, Lee, what's the solution?
Close your left eye.
Close my left eye.
Yeah, like you're going to wink.
Okay.
Now, close the other one.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right.
It's
They're
gone.
both closed.
The overlay is invisible.
You're lucky I'm 85 miles away from you, Lee Baby Michaels. If I was there in the studio, I guarantee Jesse T would be doing something mischievous to you. And you wouldn't know it's coming.
Got him.
Thank you very much, Lee Baby Michaels. Thank you very much. Vengeance is my own, saith the Lord, and you don't know when it's coming back at you. Maybe when Donald Trump becomes president and you owe me $200.
That's going to be a cold day in hell.
Oh, that's what you think, man. At least he's an American citizen.
No, you didn't.
Oh, got you on that one.
No, you didn't.
You weren't ready for that one, Lee.
You just put yourself in no man's land.
At least he was an American citizen.
No, you didn't.
At least the good thing about Hillary let him lie and die Clinton, she's an American citizen. I like that. It's good to have presidents be American citizens, don't you think?
That's the only thing you like about her, though, right?
it's good to have presidents be American citizens, don't you think?
We've never had one that wasn't.
Oh, oh, you're one of those ones that have been brainwashed from birth, huh? Ah,
At least in my lifetime. Now, what happened prior to that?
uh, uh,
And based on
yeah,
my historical recollection,
yeah, but you know, man, Obama, Obama,
poor thing.
Obama.
Some people are just going to be haters no matter what. And you just put yourself in the category of being a birther. Lord have mercy on your soul.
Lord have mercy, baby. I've been a birther right from the beginning because I know some stuff about Mr. President Obama that nobody knows about that I'm going to relinquish here very soon.
Come on
I've
with
got
it.
some secret inside information from people that were right around him. Oh, right from the beginning of his college experience. Yes. Inside stuff.
Inside information from Jesse T. Now,
that's right, baby.
On thepowerofvoices.com.
That's right. It's going to come pretty soon.
Okay. We can't wait.
I know, because I'm going to set it straight. Like I always do. It's straight on the point.
I saw that.
Can't help but being me, Jesse T.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disrupt your train of thought, but I just wanted to offer you a little help with your overlay problem. Have you tried rebooting your phone, though, on Sirius?
No. Now it tells me I don't have the right password.
What are you trying to do now?
I'm just trying to load up. I'm trying to reload Facebook so I can get my Facebook fans on another Facebook site up and going. So I've been spending like 12 minutes on this, and it's driving me insane. I'm going to stop in 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Okay. Well, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I'm going to stop here because this is I forgot my password.
To Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh.
Gee, great help you are. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. Oh.
Yes. Yeah. No.
It's terrible when you start getting old.
I don't know what the password is.
Don't look at me.
I have no idea what the password is.
You never wrote it down anywhere?
I write these passwords down all the time.
And then you forget where you wrote it down.
No, right here. I've got every password I've ever had. Right here. I'm showing it off on the TV show. I've got every password going back all the way, and I have every password. I have hundreds of passwords here written down.
There you
right?
go. So just find the Facebook.
But I don't know. But sometimes
you change them and you don't write them down.
I change a password and I don't write it down.
So why don't you just burn that book you have there of passwords?
Because it's my only saving grace. I have to have at least a book of passwords that don't work. You got to understand that. It's the world according to Torero. You have to understand. No. You got to live in my world and run in my shoes.
Nobody wants to be in that world. It's too complicated.
Are you telling me I'm like a woman? I'm too complicated?
You're worse. I'd rather deal with a 62-year-old woman than to deal with you.
Ben-Hur was gay.
Well, with a name like that, what a surprise. He was Ben-Hur.
The story of Ben-Hur.
Oh, here we go.
He was gay and he didn't know it.
Oh.
When you go back to the 1950s, 59, and Charlton Heston played Ben-Hur, you can't help but not love Charlie Baby, right?
Well, that's true.
10 Commandments, Planet of the Apes.
He was the man.
Soylent Green. He was the man, right?
Right.
He was the most macho man. He and John Wayne were like the macho dudes. John Wayne, and Kirk Douglas, right? They were like the macho dudes of that generation, right?
Oh, you're right there, Pilgrim.
That's right. All right, so, but Gore Vidal wrote the script for Ben-Hur, and Gore Vidal was gay. Okay? Everybody knew that, all right? But the movie was really boring when they saw it for the first kind of dailies. They used to put dailies together,
Yeah.
And it was boring.
It
I mean,
wasn't working.
two guys, on chariots and finding each other again and fighting and this came after the Ten Commandments, so everybody kind of weighed Charlton Heston against his acting skills in the Ten Commandments, right? So
Right.
it was like, okay, we've seen this already, all right, but it was boring. So what Gore Vidal did is he talked to the director, and he said, I got an idea. Just hear me out for a second. I'm going to run it by you. Uh, let's let Ben-Hur and Stephen Boyd, the other actor, the other lead, right, the really handsome Stephen Boyd, let's let them be gay. It would make sense because one character was Jewish and the other was Roman. The Stephen Boyd character was a Roman, and Romans, especially Romans of that time, they had no care about sexuality. You know what I'm saying? Women, men, boys, girls. I mean, that came from Greek as well. But so it did that. They didn't see that as a separation yet. Not till the Western Europe and the Catholic Church and all that stuff. That's another discussion. But and the Jewish boy played by Charlton Heston.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so they said, well, Gore Vidal said, let me develop some of the script in a different way. Let me do a few rewrites, and let's have them have a relationship, a romance. And the director said, you got to be kidding me. This is Charlton Heston. You got, you're this is Stephen Boyd. You got to be kidding me. Come on. This is 1959,
Yeah.
Gore.
Yeah. Right.
And he said, but everybody knows that Hollywood has always had a very avant-garde ideology about sexual freedom, right? Everybody knows that, okay? So he said, okay, run with it. And so he rewrote some of the script, and in the original Ben-Hur, and he put just a few words, very subtle, rewrote a few of the lines so they had to be delivered a little bit different of a way. And consequently, what came out of it is the public saw a very tight and close relationship of the two lead characters, the Roman and the Jewish character that Charlton Heston played. So when they did the chariot scene at the end of the movie, when they're rolling around the field there in the chariots, they have a relationship that's really strong. Because what Gore Vidal did, he said, I'm going to make the Roman want to restart the relationship with the Jewish fella, Charlton Heston's character, Ben-Hur. I'm gonna make the Roman want to restart it, and I'm gonna make Ben-Hur repel it. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, yeah, it is. But you know what? You saw that movie how many times?
Oh, a gajillion times.
Me too. And I never picked that up.
Never picked it up, but
I
did pick
think
up.
only somebody who was like the what was it, the director that came up with this? No, not
No, that was the writer,
the
Gore
writer.
Vidal.
Only the writer knew. Or
Right.
if you were gay, you might have picked up on it. Maybe. But in 1959, that was pushing the envelope.
Definitely so. I mean, but that's what he said. He said that on a recent interview. And I thought that to be fascinating because the one thing I did get watching that movie as I was a kid and then growing up and into an adulthood watching the movie, a gajillion times, like 10 Commandments, right?
Right.
Watching it a gajillion times. And, these are just movies and Wizard of Oz, right? You just watch, umpteenth amounts of times over and over and over. The one thing you did get from Ben-Hur was this very close relationship between he and Stephen Boyd, the actor who plays the Roman. Praetorius, I think that's what his character name was. Anyhow, you get this really, really, you do walk away knowing that they're not brothers, but they were best of friends from kids, or they had that best closeness, love of each other
They
at
had some
some level and
history.
some platform,
Yeah, they had some
right?
history together.
Right. They had some past history, and you
Right,
walked away with that, and that's what
right,
made the movie so interesting at the end when they fight each other in the arena with the
right,
chariots.
right.
Okay, is that makes the conflict right there. But it's interesting that now Gore Vidal, there's a video that was released that he said that it has to do with the way he subtly rewrote the script because the relationship wasn't working between the two main characters like they wanted it. In fact, it was really drab. He was saying it was a really drab movie. I just thought that's fascinating. So now, with the reason why I talk about this is because Ben-Hur, the new motion picture, is out on Friday. And it's one of these big Hollywood. It's a studio extravaganza. Only a studio can do these $150 million pictures. Okay,
Right.
and so it's done by Paramount Studios. And the red carpet was out of this world. We didn't make it down there, Dan, Amanda Package and I this time, but it was out of this world. Just like the Ghostbusters one was, and the Star Trek one was that we did, and the Star Wars one was that we did. But it's going to be, they're not. I wonder if they're going to have the same kind of overtones because you see, everybody behind the scenes in Hollywood, everybody knows everybody's business. Everybody knows everybody's history. Everybody knows the history of Hollywood and the
Mm-hmm.
history of movies and the history of actors, right?
Right.
There's nothing that you can hide when you move up the A-list level. It's too small. The producers and the directors and the lead editors and
Mm-hmm.
the DPs and the cameramen and the actors and the actresses, it's too small of a collective group. Everybody knows everybody's business. So it'd be interesting to see if Ben-Hur is going to have any of those overtones because, like in Star Trek, the new Discovery Star Trek that's coming out on CBS is doing it, but they're running it, I believe, on one of CBS's HD channels that they own. It is going to definitely have a gay crew member, a main lead play a gay. Not this is Sulu gay or not, like in the motion picture. Um, they're going to actually have that. And that makes sense to the timeline of Star Trek in that respect. They may even have, for you Star Trek fans out there, this falls in the timeline that the greatest captain ever in the history of the Federation before Captain Kirk came along was Captain Garth of XR. Captain Garth was a guy who went Looney Tunes and he put him in a psych hospital planet. And when Captain Kirk came up on them one time in one of the shows, Captain Garth from XR, and he was the one that won the Annexar Wars, and that was the main war that brought the Federation together in such a way that they could go out into the Federation world and spawn the new Enterprise and all this stuff. But it makes sense, that timeline. So, when you watch films and you watch these TV productions and these major original productions, there's lots of little hidden things in there that you may not be catching the first time. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back and rent or get or watch online Charlton Heston's version of Ben-Hur. And see if there is that little overtone in there. Anyhow, just interesting food for thought on a day that I can't get my Facebook site up. So we are on facebook.com/thepowervoices.com, and it's good to have you along with us here on a Thursday on the Jesse T Show. I've been on fire all week. About lots of topics that are driving me absolutely insane right now. Not just the political presidency, but also the state of California and our silly, ridiculous, and stupid, dumb, poo-poo head, Jerry Brown. I mean, Proposition 57. I hope you take a chance and take some time and look at that and see what it's about. I actually got in a big, long discussion with somebody the other night, just a couple of nights ago, that they were kind of on the fence on that. And I said, oh, on the fence of human trafficking being seen as a nonviolent crime when you have sex with minors, that's not a nonviolent crime. Well, you can imagine what that conversation was like here. Good to have you along with us at www.thepowervoices.com. And we're going to do some fun here to kind of see what's going on in the world. Yeah. Oh, by the way, yesterday we had Jeff Langton, super great cut man and boxing expert. He was on the show early on. Kind of give us a lowdown about a brand new fighter that was fighting, and it was only his second fight in downtown Los Angeles, and he beat a guy yesterday that had 12 fights. So we may have a new fighter out there that's coming up the ranks, but just want to give you a heads up on that. And it looks like in the Olympics that this guy Locke. I mean, you got to say this guy, this Ryan Locke, man, he's turning into be a real scumbag, a real scumbag. I mean, he gets his medal, his gold medal. He blows out of the country, concocts this story. Brazilian police have found out that this story was a complete falsehood. Complete falsehood. This vandalized, hold him up in a gas station by gunpoint, make himself look like a hero, a stud muffin, right? Make him look like a big bad dude while his other two swimmers go on the ground and do what the robber said. And then the next day he blows out of the country and leaves his two buddies there to face the police of Brazil. And looks like they're going to cop to a plea that this was a fake story, a false accusation, a false crime. And in Brazil, that doesn't mean they're going to have a prison sentence, because that's the last place you want to go, into a Brazilian prison. A South American prison is the last place you want to go. It looks like that they're going to get fined in that respect. But this Locke guy, he doubles down on an interview the other night while back in the country. I don't like this guy now. I don't like this guy at all. He's got some sort of reality star. I think he's a coward. I think he's a punk. And he certainly has no honor. Why would he make up some concocted story? Because he's a paparazzi hound? This guy is a punk. He's the kind of guy you just want to slap upside the face, you know? You want to look at him, I'm going to slap you in the face. Just like that, just like the character in Tombstone that Kurt Russell played in his version of the Tombstone movie, where he walks up to the faro dealer and he says, he insults him because this guy's insulting all of the guys that want to play and gamble at the faro table, this faro dealer. And so Kurt Russell, which of course is Wyatt Earp, walks up to him and dares him to pull that iron, pull that fire stick. And that whole scene right there, and he slaps him on the side of the face 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I mean, that's what this has to happen to this Locke guy. This guy is unbelievable. What a scumbag, really. And he's supposed to be an Olympic athlete, a man of honor. Oh, man, you got to be kidding me. Just terrible, just terrible. So, that's what's happening on that scene here in the Olympics. The Olympics haven't been a real popular Olympics this year. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just because we have our presidential election and it's more fun watching the two knuckleheads beat themselves up and throw, flying fickle fingers of fate at each other. These great superlatives that they throw. But you got to say that Donald Trump, he has changed his way. He's now sticking to the prompter. He's not coming off the prompter like all of them stay on the prompter. He started to stay on it and starting to drive his message. So it's changing a little bit. So we'll see how that fight continues on here in that respect. But there's a couple other things I wanted just to chat about. It kind of, makes you think twice about some stuff. And yesterday we talked about Republican actors and actresses, Republican entertainers that are in town. living here and working here that are in the state that are actually Republicans, and some pretty prestigious names. I mean, we're not talking about C-listers and B-listers. We were talking about A-listers, like Denzel Washington. I had no idea he was a Republican. No idea at all that Denzel was. I had no idea Sylvester Stallone was either. That one kind of caught me for surprise. I've interviewed Frank Stallone, his brother, trying to get an interview with Sylvester, but I have interviewed Frank Stallone. Dr. Drew, everybody knows who Dr. Drew is. He decides to chime in on a radio interview here in Los Angeles on one of our competing stations. Can't compete with us at thepowerofvoices.com because they don't have the freedom to do and talk and say what needs to be said in a non-political way. They have to watch their words, dot their I's, and cross their T's. But Dr. Drew says he's concluded that if he were providing health care for Hillary Clinton and the type of health care she was receiving right now, he'd be ashamed to show up at a doctor's lounge. And he says he and his colleagues would be laughed out the 1950s style health care that she's getting. Well, we do know that there is, she's an older woman, and, things happen when you get older. It's just the way it is. Irrespective of her health, the only important thing here is, of course, that can she stand up to the absolute stress monster that is about to hit her if she becomes president. Because it ages you. It ages not only your outside, but your inside. So, they came to this big conclusion, he and his partner, Robert Huizenga, Dr. Drew Pinsky, that because of her deep venous thrombosis and blood clots in her legs that she had, and because that she fell down in 2012, suffered from a transverse sinus thrombosis, which causes blood clotting, and can be very, very dangerous, that they're using some sort of coagulation to thin her blood, but the medicine that they're using is straight out of the 1960s and not the newest stuff. He's very concerned about her physical ability to be able to continue in that respect. Well, something, this is what I say about doctors. And this is something I wanted to talk about. Doctors are practicing medicine. That's what they're doing. They're doing nothing else but the practice of medicine. It's a learned, not learned, it's a learned, that's how you say it, a learned profession. Just like theology is, just like law is, just like philosophy and psychology are, just like medicine. It's a learned profession. In other words, it's like the wind and the water. It blows both ways. And it's based on somebody's experience and practice of what they know or don't know in terms of how you apply the proper procedures to help somebody. And it's constantly growing and constantly changing. It's not like science. 1 and 1 is 2. It's not like this crayon is orange. It's not like changing the pipes in a house. It's something that is learned all the time. So it's consistently growing. And it's a practice. 2 experiences. One experience was with my mother. My mother is Scot-Irish. And my mother was a big woman. Very healthy, very strong, and very powerful. My mother had high blood pressure. But she was healthy. She walked, swam, swimming was her thing, and riding her bicycle. She passed away, and I'll tell you how it happened real quick. Anyhow, she had high blood pressure. That's what her thing was. My grandfather, my mother's father, Scot-Irish, he had extremely high blood pressure and diabetes later on in his life after 70 years old. So, slight case of diabetes. Didn't kill him. But nevertheless, my mother had high blood pressure, but it was maintained. It was much higher blood pressure than yours is or mine. In fact, you would look at the blood pressure charts and you would say, my goodness, how come, the blood isn't popping out of the top of this woman's head? How come it's not exploding out her ears like a cartoon? Well, she had high blood pressure, but she had a doctor, our family doctor, my mother's doctor. I had him for 35 years, and he knew my mom. He maintained her blood pressure with the newest blood pressure medication that came up. He knew how it reacted to her. He knew how things worked in my mother with relationship to blood pressure. So he retired. And he started off as an old country doctor, making his own pharmaceutical medicines. Actually, he had a pharmacy of the actual stuff he would crush and put in a liquid form and would give it to you. I remember as a kid, I actually got a chance to watch him make the medicine he was going to give me when I got really sick. This purple stuff I drank in a little vial with a cork in it. Swear to God, unbelievable. So that's the kind of doctor he was. And he grew with the times. But in the 1980s, he was in his 90s, mid to late 90s. He retired. In the 1980s, late 1980s, he turned his practice over to a younger man. And he took care of my mother with no problem, kind of kept her on the same regime. He moved out of Burbank to a larger firm because he wanted to be a part of a large medical business. So the office closed down. He turned his clients over to this Pakistani Indian doctor. Now I say that, and I say that knowing what you might be thinking. But really, we're talking about my mother here. And so I'm not going to mince words. A Pakistani Indian doctor with a couple years experience. My mom went to him, and the first thing that he did is he said, "Oh, you're looking at the kind of medicine, you got to be doing this new medicine for blood pressure." So my mom said no. So 6 months to a year, year and a half go by, and my mom's blood pressure goes up a little bit. So as she's getting a little older, closer to 60. And so the doctor she was going to, the same Pakistani Indian guy, he says, we really need to get you on this new stuff. So my mother succumbs, acquiesces, and says, okay. My dad and my mom go to their vacation house in Lake Mojave on the Colorado River. My mom's blood pressure doubles within 12 hours from the time she took the medicine. Now, let me say this. Her blood pressure was pushing 200 all the time, but it doubles. Okay? So they're out there in the middle of God's country, nowhere, on the river and the lake, in the triple wide trailer, on the 2-acre parcel, with the water coming up and the houseboat. My mom almost goes into a coma. They call the ambulance. It takes an hour for the ambulance to get there because that's how far away they were. This is the early 90s. And so the ambulance gets there, and the ambulance calls in the helicopter. Okay, helicopter to either Henderson or Vegas if they can't get her blood pressure down. They get her blood pressure stabilized, put her in the ambulance, and they drive to Henderson, hospital in Henderson, which was about an hour away. They get her in there, stabilize her, everything's fine, it comes down. They take her off the medicine, and they put her back on the medicine that she was originally on. She comes home 6 months later to a year. She ends up getting Lou Gehrig's disease, dies of ALS in 6 months at 57 years old. Now, there's no sign in our family lineage of Parkinson's or nerve disorders or MS or ALS. The only thing that changed there was the medicine that this Pakistani Indian doctor gave to my mother. That's the only thing that changed. Now, I'm not saying she wouldn't have got ALS at some point in her life, but this is what my father and I believe, that it caused whatever she did have in terms of her nerves and neurological aspects of her body. It caused them to be exacerbated, sped up, because her blood pressure went through the ionosphere because of the new medicine. I went looking for that doctor after my mom died. I went looking for him. He moved back to India. Now, I'm sure it didn't have anything to do with my mom. I'm sure of that. She's just a file, a name on a piece of paper. But he moved back to India, never to be found again. He's practicing medicine. Medicine is a practice. A little bit of this practice, a little bit of that practice, and guess who they're practicing it on? You and me, the guinea pigs. The biochemical companies, the pharmaceutical companies that run the lobbyists, some of the highest paid lobbyists in the world come from the bio and medical and pharmaceutical companies in Washington. They own inside the belt. This is why we have no cures for AIDS in our country yet. This is why we have no cures for some cancers in our country yet. This is why they won't allow marijuana, which has been shown that the oil in the marijuana, not the leaf, but the oil in the marijuana heals all kinds of things. They could extract that and put that in some sort of form, liquid form, and give to people that oil heals. It's miraculous. So, about 6 years ago, I end up in the hospital, St. Joseph's Hospital in Burbank. And I'm a pretty fit guy. I end up in there because for a year, I can't get rid of this cold. I get rid of it, come back, I get rid of it, I come back. What would happen, I would get fever, get rid of it, come back, get fever, get rid of it, come back, get fever, and it just went on for a year. So I got really sick and I couldn't breathe. So I got myself into the St. Joseph's emergency ward. They put me in ER in 2010. And what they did was they took all those vitals, right? Blood, urine, all that stuff, blood pressure, temperature, right? Sat you down there, sign all the papers, the whole 9 yards, right? Then you tell your story. And I told him, I said, look, this is what's been going on for a year. All right. Now, I'm a fit guy. I train, I work out, I run, I eat pretty well. I don't eat too sloppy, and I don't drink and I don't take drugs. I never have. So I've never toxified my body in any very difficult and extreme manner. Now, I tell them for the last 30 days, I'm drinking orange juice so I can go to the bathroom. I'm drinking cranberry juice, cran apple juice, cran grape juice. I'm drinking grapefruit juice. I'm drinking red grapefruit juice. I'm drinking lemonade. I'm drinking all fruit juices galore to evacuate my system, and tons of water to evacuate my system, because I'm thinking it's a bacterial infection. So you drink a lot of fluids, right? And good fruit fluids help because it helps stabilize your immune system, and it helps give you the energy, the glucose that you need to fight off that bacterial infection. So I tell them this. And he said, okay. So my blood chart comes back, and I got like 400 glucose rating. Now that's not diabetic. That's like quadruple diabetic. So I said, well, yeah, I told you. For the last month, I've been ingesting a lot of sugar water, essentially. And he said, wow, we got to stabilize. We got to put some insulin in you. I said, you don't got to put no insulin in me. Yeah, we got. If we don't, this thing rides to 600, you could die, get a car. So I said, okay. So they put some insulin in me, right? Put me in what's called insulin shock within 20 minutes. Almost went into an insulin coma. And when you go into insulin coma, you usually don't come out of it because it's sugar glucose related. Your body basically goes like a dragster on overdrive and your engine blows up. You've seen that on a drag strip where all of a sudden the two drag racing cars go and you hear one of them, the engine is not sounding normal and it just revs at like 50,000 RPMs while the other one's going down the road. And then the engine blows up and all the parts go everywhere. That's kind of what your body does in insulin shock. Or it shuts down and goes really low and your heart stops. One or the other when you go into insulin coma. So they put me in insulin coma. I fight this thing for the next hour and a half. I'm still conscious, barely. I'm fighting. I'm like one of those tuna fish on the back of a boat that you watch on these fish shows late at night, right? They bring up out of the ocean and it's wiggling and waggling and whopping around the back of the boat and whipping its tail. That's what I'm doing on the gurney. They put me up in a private room immediately, hooked me up to all kinds of IVs, right? I don't see those people that were originally with me ever again. I see a whole new slew of people. And then the guys come with the paddles and the guys come with the stuff to restart your heart and all that stuff. I mean, right, I beat it. I beat it. But I walk out of the hospital 4.5 weeks later, having to deal with a higher than normal glucose condition, which I do deal with it and I keep it down. I have to deal with a liver condition, which is not bad. It's okay. I got to watch it. I keep it down. I got to deal with a spleen thing. Not bad, but I keep it down. So, how did I get this? Nobody knows. I figure out two things. 20 years prior, I'm at the doctor and he diagnosed me with hematoma chromatosis. And hematoma chromatosis means you have too much iron in your body. The doors don't shut. You can't get rid of the iron once you get it. The only way you get rid of iron is they bleed you like a friggin' vampire. So, and you stop eating all the foods that have heavy iron. Well, every food in the world that you eat has iron. But there are some foods that have more iron, like red meat. So I haven't ate red meat in 30 plus years. So, well, about 28 years. So for 28 years, I'm bleeding myself at the vampire shop, the blood doctor. He diagnosed me with hematoma chromatosis. So I tell the guys in ER in 2010, I got hematoma chromatosis. My body has too much iron. That's why I'm an iron head. I'm a knucklehead. That's why my head is so hard. That's why when I get my notion around something, you can't change me. I mean, that's just me. You know, my loved ones say, I got a head like a rock. Well, it's because I ingested lots of iron. I got an iron head. So the blood test comes back in 2010 while I'm in ER. The doctor says, I don't know who told you you have hematoma chromatosis, but boy, you're anemic. And I went, anemic? That means you got no iron. Anemic? I'm not pregnant. I'm not going to have a baby boy or girl. How can I be anemic? Anemic? Bingo! I've been bleeding myself for over 20 years with the doctor at the frickin' vampire. The vampire. I used to call him. I say, hey, is the vampire in? That's what I used to say when I go in there. They all laughed. I even went in there with vampire teeth once. I went in there painted with a vampire face and vampire teeth once. Just to goof around. So the dude misdiagnosed me, man. Because you see, when you get hematoma chromatosis, you never get rid of it. It does not go away. It stays with you till you die. In 2010, they told me I'm anemic. You can't be anemic and be hematoma chromatosis. Misdiagnosis 20 years prior. So for 20 years, my bone marrow is working overtime to make more blood, and my liver and spleen are working overtime with my bone marrow to make more white cells and red blood cells. For 20 years, I'm draining myself a ketchup-sized bottle of blood once every 3 months. You freaking kidding me? I must have, dude, Blade has nothing on me. Blade has nothing on me. I must have started the vampire movie. I started the vampire movie scene. I was in that place so much they were bleeding blood out of me. I felt like I was like Frankenstein's brother. And then I get hit in ER with insulin they should not have given me. 2 misdiagnoses. 1 misdiagnosis killed my mother. 2 misdiagnoses almost killed me. Except I'm Jesse T. Can't help but being me. I fought and fought hard and fought back. And a year and a half later, well, look at me now. 6 years later. We went to the UCLA liver specialist because they thought they had to take my liver out after they let me out of the hospital. And I went to the UCLA liver specialist, that scumbag 2-bit lying piece of crap doctor. I went there and he told me in front of my wife that they had to put me on a liver transplant list to cut my liver out, and made my wife cry to the floor. I got up and I said, "Doctor, these are your 2 students," because UCLA is a medical center. I said, "Forgive me what I'm about to do." I backed his ass up into the friggin' door. And I said, "How dare you make my wife cry, and how dare you tell me that I have to have my liver out? Who the hell you think you are? Look at me, man. I don't gotta have my liver. Get out of here. I just might wait for you in the friggin' parking lot behind your Porsche." Oh, he didn't like that. Shaking his boots, probably pissed in his pants. So I went to USC, Dr. Fong. And he took one look at my charts and everything. He said, "What are they doing? What do they want to practice taking livers out?" Bingo! Practice. He said, "You don't need no liver taken out. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, just do a little of this now. You'll be okay." 6 years. I don't look like I need to have my liver taken out. Practice. This is what doctors do. They practice. So when I read this story about Dr. Drew, right, making some evaluation on Hillary, lie then die Clinton, I said, "What are you doing, man? What are you, a stupid idiot? How can you make some decision or give any interpretation when you don't even have the patient in front of you?" And now that bleeds out all over the world as a story. A story. Hillary isn't healthy enough to be president. Well, she might not be. And you know I'm a Trumpster. But fair is fair, and right is right. You don't be spreading stupid stories like that, scaring the bejesus out of people. What's wrong with you? Doctors, if you got any doctors listening to me, you better clean up your bedside act. Because you know what you're doing, you're just a railroad system for pharmaceutical companies. You go to 10 years of law school learning how to write prescriptions so you don't kill people, but you keep them sick long enough, make them well, to give them more medicine so they get sick and then get well. Yeah, I call it the way I see it. The biomedical companies, the pharmaceutical companies, these are the biggest, most evil, empire-ish things that God has ever created. And if there is a God, why did you create such entities that kill us and keep us on the edge of sickness? Why don't you create entities that teach us how to drink the right water and eat the right food and get the right sleep and get enough exercise? Why do you give us entities that want to toxify our bodies? And you take these commercials on TV. They give you about 10 seconds of the commercial. Then they give you like 30 seconds of disclaimers. Well, if you take this, you'll get an erection. But your heart might blow up out the top of your heads, and your eyeballs might pop out like a cartoon character. That's right. Oh, but you'll have an erection. And by the way, if you have an erection for more than 4 hours, you should go to the doctor's. Duh! There's no man natural in a natural light that's had a 4-hour erection. What the hell you need an erection for 4 hours for? Is something wrong with you? Go get into porno movies. My goodness, you won't have to have a fluff girl. You just have an erection for 4 hours. I mean, come on. What are we getting sold on, people? And you know I harp on this all the time. Open your eyes and see what they're doing to you and me, and how they bastardize and twist and change everything that we believe in. I believe that the doctors would take care of my mother, my father, his sweetheart, his fairy tale, his beauty, to him the beast, the story of stories. Soulmates from God's creation. He believed. I believed the doctor when they drained the blood out of me. I believed the doctor when they put a little insulin in me. They damn near killed me. Practice. Practice of medicine. You want to practice this in Italian? Fungo, practice this. Look at it. You can't trust doctors. You can't trust the medicine you take. You can't trust them. How dare Dr. Drew get on a major station here in Los Angeles and talk this cockamamie crap? This guy's no better than Locke, creating some story because he's a propaganda. He's a paparazzi hound. See, all these guys. But yet we Americans believe in them. We believe in them. We give our lives and put it in their hands. When you go to the doctor, question everything. They're practicing. They're practicing their craft. And their schools were built from the money that the pharmaceutical companies gave them. Yeah. You know, all the grants that come to all the major medical universities in America come from pharmaceutical companies. All the big grants. I'm talking like, $50 million grants. It's a drop in a bucket compared to these pharmaceutical companies' bottom line. Their design is to create enough medicine to just keep you alive. Right. You know what JOB means, a job? JOB means just over broke. Well, these pharmaceutical companies do something even more insidious. JOD, just over death. Monsanto, DuPont, Bayer, or in Germany, Bayer. Don't trust them. Ask questions. Stand up for your right. Your right to ask questions. Your doctor is not God. He's a guy or gal who's practicing medicine. Now, all of them aren't bad. That's true. There's a lot of good ones, and we need them, just like we need attorneys that I can't stand them, but we need them. Just like we need preachers and pastors. And I can't stand some of them, but we need them. And just like we need politicians. And I can't stand some of them, but we need them. You got to pick the right one. And that's the key. And you do that by asking lots of questions. You do that by asking lots of questions. That's what you do. And remember, it's a practice. Real quick, before we go, a couple of things I want to mention to you. Real quick, some questions. I'm going to rattle them off. Which issues are most important to you? Securing the border, stopping radical Islam, terrorism, economy, jobs, fair trade, American energy independence, protecting the life of the unborn, religious liberties, upholding the Constitution, or preserving a conservative Supreme Court. Which is more important to you? Oh, all of them? Oh, okay. Should we invest more time and resources in our state? Should the federal government? Oh, you say yes, that we should invest more time in our state, more resources from the federal government? Oh, okay. All right, how about this one? Should the campaigns be focusing more on positive or negative? Should our tax system be simplified for working families to reduce IRS corruption? What do you think about that? Yes? Okay. Should we become energy independent so we don't have to be laboring to anybody else's, pulling our purse strings, like having all our own oil and none of our enemies' oil? Would that be a good thing? Yeah, okay. Should we have term limits for congressmen and senators? Yeah, darn right. Should the taxpayers be forced to fund abortions? I don't think so. Should Wall Street be more accountable for what they do? I think so. Should the United States stop illegal immigration and design a system for legal immigration the proper way, protecting our borders and our sovereign state? Yes. Do you think we should renegotiate and get better trade deals? Yes. You think we should have another bailout like we did in 2008 to the trillions of dollars? No. How about this one? Do you believe in the guns and the Second Amendment? I do. Should the federal government return power to states and local governments? I think so. Should businesses be crushed by regulations? I don't think so. Should we somehow get rid of our $19 trillion debt by stop wasting spending? I think so. Why don't we roll back the regulations and force companies to do business in our country the right way? Obamacare is falling apart. Should the House and Senate be reformed and be under more watchful eye? Yes.
Overtime.
How about anybody threatening our security? No. We should protect ourselves and take care of our vets. If you believe in all those things, vote Trump, because that's what he does. It's the Jesse T Show, live at 5, Monday through Friday, 5 to 6, straight on the point. The world according to Zerero, the Brown Beauty is off duty. See ya!